Hello, everyone. Welcome to Companies That Care. I'm your host, Marie Gettel-Gilmartin, and this podcast is brought to you by Fertile Ground Communications. I help companies avoid boring by making communications painless and boosting employee engagement, productivity, and brand recognition. I turn lackluster, jargon-filled, or technical prose into clear, dynamic narrative. Look us up on fertilegroundcommunications.com. I alternate this Companies That Care podcast with my other podcast, Finding Fertile Ground, which is about personal stories of grit and resilience. On both of my podcasts, I strive to highlight voices from historically excluded populations, people who don't always get a platform. You can find information about both podcasts on my website and social media. My guests today are Tal Zlotnitsky and Tonya Coppin-Fox, co-founders of Our.Love, a brand new app that just launched on Valentine's Day. Our.Love is a love and relationship wellness technology company dedicated to helping couples find, maintain, and nurture their best love. Tal is a successful 6-time startup entrepreneur and angel investor, a lifelong leader and learner who is inquisitive and tenacious. Tal came to the United States at the age of 12 from Israel. He's a passionate activist on behalf of immigrants, people of color, distressed rural communities, the LGBTQIA community, refugees, and military families. Tonya is a passionate and purpose-driven entrepreneur and motivational business coach with a unique ability to organize, run, and grow startups. An immigrant from Barbados, she is an advocate for strong relationships and families, living their lives courageously, kindly, and purposefully. A few months ago, I joined the R.Love team as a writer and strategic communications consultant because I believe in Tonya and Tal and their whole incredible team and mission. Now, let's meet Tal and Tonya. Thank you so much, Tal and Tonya, for joining me on the Companies That Care podcast.
Thank you, Marie. Yes. Yeah.
Great to have you here. So let's just get started with Tonya. Tonya, can you tell us how you got started? How did you get here in your life?
I am an immigrant. I was born in the country of Barbados, and I came to the US when I was 5 years old. My grandmother actually was a successful businesswoman. So I got a really early introduction into business. I used to get up early in the morning and help her get the stuff loaded to take to the grocery stores. But she wanted me to come here and get a good education. So I came over. I went to college, got my undergrad degree in psychology and my graduate degree in education. I started teaching in the public school system, actually, in the South Bronx of New York, which was like a really rough neighborhood. I loved it. I am a National Foundation for Teaching Entrepreneurship fellow. I started a program with my special ed students where we would wake up earlier in the morning and we would do a cafe within the school. I was a consultant in the human service space and worked with several organizations with organizational management and leadership. And then I started my own company, Global Resources and Support, where we support adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities, as well as individuals with mental health disorders.
Wonderful. That's great. And Tal, how about you? How did you get here?
Well, like Tonya, I was an immigrant. I came here as a 12-year-old from Israel and had the experience of kind of living the American dream from the bottom up. My parents came here with very little. And over the course of about a 35-year career since that point, starting with family businesses, I've been totally blessed. I started companies in the wholesale distribution space that have done very well. Then I started one of the first pay-by-cell phone parking companies in the US, which I sold to the company that now operates as Park Mobile. And in my last company, I Control Data, is a very large enterprise with tens of thousands of customers in all 50 states. I chose to start Our.Love, and actually Tonya was one of my first calls when I made that decision for lots of reasons. But the main ones were that, I had become very interested in the topic of love because of my own failings in this space. As I became more aware of what the science said, I realized that there were ways to productize the science using technology that I thought would be more impactful. But also, I think what really impacted me a lot was what was going on in the country. As an immigrant, I enthusiastically participated in the political system, trying to influence as best I can in a direction I thought would be better for the country. But ultimately, as I was looking back at years of political activism, which included speaking engagements, radio, television, etc., and donations to many political candidates, I really didn't feel like I was having any kind of an impact. January 6th happened. I remember sitting in front of my television, gawking in disbelief as Americans were raising their arms against each other in a way I never thought was possible. And I realized, my God, we need to do something about it. And I am not a powerful political actor. So the question was, what could I do? And I made the decision to start a love company because I think love is perhaps the last thing that is indivisible. Everyone wants to love more and better. Everyone wants to be loved more and better. And it felt like a great place to start. If we can help people feel more love inside their homes, hopefully we'll ripple out and we'll start coming back together again. So that's what prompted me to start this company.
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't know that level of detail on your story. Can you explain what Our.Love is?
So I reached out to Tonya because I knew her for over a decade. Her husband, Harold, worked for me at one of my prior startups, and I knew that she was an incredible entrepreneur. She has started multiple businesses. She gives herself too little credit, and everything she's ever touched has turned to gold. I also was very familiar with her personality. I mean, my brother had worked with her more than I had, but he said, look, if you got a mission and it's bold, Tanya's a gal. So I reached out to Tonya. At the beginning, I had more of a concept than anything else, although she would tell you that I had an 80-page PowerPoint presentation, which is true. Tonya enthusiastically jumped in, and having the support of someone with her pedigree and her track record really gave me courage. And I kept going on and recruited a few other critical people to the team, including Dr. Richard Safir, the Chief Medical Director of Health and Wellbeing at Johns Hopkins, who's a good friend, Brian Israel, Kita Musa, John Passman, and suddenly this became a real thing. Our love starts with a foundational concept, which is that we have a physical home. We all have a physical home. And generally speaking, if you're in a relationship, a serious relationship, you're sharing that home with your significant other. But in the virtual world, we are on our own. We each have our own virtual presence, and we do not come together at the end of the day, if you will, the proverbial day, into a shared sacred space that's just ours and our partners. The first concept of Our.Love is the couple verse. It's a virtual home where you and your partner can spend time focusing on you and your relationship, and you do it through fun. I mean, this is not a therapy app. It's a virtual home. It's a gamified home. And within that home are all sorts of really cool features and activities, videos, audio, readings, games. And as you engage, you earn love coins. And those love coins can be used in the virtual gift shop to redecorate your home, to buy gifts. And in the very near future, we're also going to enable you to use those love coins towards discount on real merchandise in the real world. So lots of really, really cool things, all designed around the concept of teaching people how to do love better. And ultimately, doing love better is not as complex as maybe we grew up to believe. It requires knowing certain skills. It requires knowing when to deploy them. And the beauty of our app is we could teach you how to do that if you're willing to give us a few minutes.
Love that. I've been married for 32 years, and just writing the articles for Our.Love, I feel like it's actually helped me think about different things I could do with my husband. It's good to read and write about this stuff. So Tonya, tell us your reaction when Tal first came to you. He had an 80-page PowerPoint.
And it was about 80 pages. When he came to me, first of all, you always think when any visionary comes to you, you think, okay, either it's really, really crazy or this might actually work, right? So my original thought was, well, let me see if he's not crazy first. Let me test the waters. It was really a concept when you think about it, and he's right. What was happening at the time, we were in the midst of COVID. We had just had the insurrection. There was so much things going on in the world that led us to really understand that what we needed and what we didn't have enough was people really understanding love and spreading love. So in that vein, I really did lean in because I was like, this is an opportunity for us to make a difference. And if we did it right, we could impact generations to come all across the world. So I was a champion. I jumped on early and I was like, let's do this thing.
That's great. I love that story. So Tal, I remember when you and I first talked and you said that you really wanted to create a company that was committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Can you explain a little bit more about your philosophy about that?
I've always believed very firmly that even from the practical sense of how to run a company that has the best chance of being successful, the diversity and inclusion are instrumental to success. And by diversity and inclusion, I mean certainly people of both genders and people that identify themselves as non-gendered, people of color, people from different backgrounds and cultures, including people that have immigrated to this country, people with different sexual orientations. I mean, ultimately, we are all one united human family. And our shared experience bring us closer together, but it is our differences when weaved together thoughtfully that make us stronger. So it was a very critical thing for me. And if you look at my career track record, I've always championed diversity. I've always championed inclusion. I mean, every company I've ever had, there have always been very, very senior people of color and women in leadership positions. And obviously, Tonya and I, as immigrants, share a strong passion for people that have experienced this country in ways a lot of Americans respectfully don't, right? We have a greater appreciation for what makes America great. Honestly, what makes America great is its goodness. In my opinion, it's just the goodness of its people the goodness of its purpose. And I think that's best represented by a very diverse group. So if you look at our organization top down, it's incredibly diverse. It's more than 50% people of color, more than 50% women. In our senior leadership and our board, we're more than 50% women and people of color. And I take enormous pride in that.
Honestly, that was the number one thing that made me interested in getting involved. Really, your commitment to that is great. And Tonya, for you as a Black woman, what is it like working at Our.Love compared to some of the other places you've worked at?
I think really early on, Tal and I made the conscious decision to make sure that all colors, all people were represented. I've been fortunate enough where I've always been in leadership roles, but even in those roles, you walk into dynamics and organizations where your vision and the vision of the company could be very different. The great thing about Our.Love is our vision is aligned. When we really talk about love is universal, that shows in the way that we recruit. It shows in the makeup of the people who work within the company, the board, all the way through from our users to the people who are informing the product. We make sure that it's diverse, it represents all people across every spectrum. So that is why I'm so committed to this mission, because we really are making a difference.
That's fantastic. Tal, how can you describe your employee culture?
I would say that to come into a startup, especially a pre-revenue startup, most of the people that are on this team joined us before we went live in the marketplace. The app is now available at the App Store, both iOS and Android, under Our.Love. But the people that joined us before had to have a vision, had to believe in something bigger than a paycheck. Because for the most part, the early team was recruited on equity only, or very, very little cash compensation, as we were trying to conserve money and use it to do the work that needed to be done, particularly around market research and eventually building a non-viable product and then a minimum viable product and ultimately our beta and our version 1.0. So the culture is a culture of people who have a deep appreciation for the meaning of love. And it comes from different places. There are people on our team that are very, very happily married and know the value of that and have seen firsthand what having a loving, strong relationship does. We have others on the team, myself included, Tonya included, who have had divorces and learned the hard way the impact of love not done so well. We have young people that have great hope for loves that either are present in their lives or coming down the road in the future. And we've got some people that have been married, 40 plus years. So I would say that the culture, dreamers, people that are motivated by the belief that wherever we find ourselves, there's a way to get better. It's a cheerful, optimistic, humorous culture. We like to laugh. We laugh a lot. We don't laugh at people. We don't laugh at anyone's expense, but we share joy. This is a joyful mission. I can't think of anything I could ever do that would possibly have the kind of impact and be as joyful is helping people love more.
I love that you brought up that diversity. It's a different type of diversity. You've got diversity from relationships, right? I mean, that's really important for what you're doing. You don't want to just have all these people who've been married for years, like me. You want to have people who are looking for a different kind of love and who've learned lessons along the way about how not to do things, perhaps. I certainly have learned that myself as well, having been married a long time. And Tonya, tell us about the launch. You launched on February 14th. And how did that go? And how's it going now?
I think the launch went fabulously. We got great responses, great downloads, and it continues to grow week after week. We just actually wrapped up a meeting where we're taking feedback from our users and using that to inform the product to make it better and better. Listen, you can call me optimistic and maybe I am a dreamer. This app, to me, bar none, is more robust, and I don't see anything in the App Store like it that can rival it. I'm so ecstatic about it. You just can't even believe, you just don't even know how ecstatic I am. I think we did a great job. It was a lot of hard work, a lot of thought going behind it, a lot of feedback, and I am so proud to stand behind the app. I really am.
That's great. Tal, what kind of reactions are you hearing from the users about the app?
I've launched apps before, and so I think I had a little bit more of an appreciation of what the week before and the week of would be like. Not a lot of sleep, a little bit of short tempers, and always some experience of bugs or things you didn't expect. But Tanya's right. I mean, this launch went pretty darn well. There's still things we're working through. We're finding that certain older phones don't like some of our more advanced features. And so we've got to build some back roads, if you will. And there's a lot more to come, right? So if you look at the app today, I would still call it more of a beta. It's 1.0, but there's some killer stuff coming down the pike. So I think for people that would come into the app, they would experience, I think, fun. The videos are fun and funny. We have some terrific, and in fact, some of the work that you did on the writings is outstanding. Other people did great things with the app, with their writing as well. We've got a fabulous emotion detection audio biometrics game where you and your partner can start either guided conversations or just have a conversation with this audio biometric that does not listen to words, does not record, but listens to tone and listens to audio markers such as, are you interrupting each other? Are you raising your voices to be heard over one another? Are you pausing between people speaking so that you're sure to have absorbed what they said? So all of these markers are being tracked and are featured in a beautiful bouquet. So if you do a great job, the bouquet on the screen blossoms. And if you're not doing such a great job, it will. So there are all sorts of really cool features. There's a way to share your mood. And, you might say, well, what's so cool about that? Well, first of all, wait until you see what it looks like in the app. It's really kind of fun. But beyond the fun, it is specifically built that way because we know a lot about the impact of childhood trauma on adult communication. We're extremely fortunate to have Dr. Larry McCullough on our team. He's one of the leading voices in the world on this topic. And we know that people that have suffered childhood trauma or are in a relationship with someone who suffered a childhood trauma, numbers that, by the way, represent a majority of people in the United States and probably around the world, we have the data domestically, really struggle with expressing how they feel honestly. And having an alternative means to communicate how they're feeling and the reasons for that and getting that information to their partner, hopefully before they get home, maybe on a day where they're out of the house for work, or communicating in a way that feels comfortable. We know from science is a very impactful way to get people to be more vulnerable with each other. And vulnerability is one of the 7 love skills. So there's a lot of really cool stuff there. And the feedback I've gotten by and large has been really, really solid, right? So obviously a lot of the people that I'm talking to are more on the investor side. And, and it's been a remarkable week. I've gotten phone calls from people that I talked to the very early parts of the journey, who I'm sure thought that I was a dreamer and really, wow, is he really going to build this app? He's talking about this coupleverse concept. And they opened the app and they saw the real manifestation of that. And it's pretty cool. My own kids, my daughter at the top was a nurse. You can see a little bit of her. I'll raise the screen a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
She just turned 23 and she and her friend have been loving it. My daughter in the middle there, Sophia, was in the Navy. She and her fiance, Maddie, and Maddie's actually on our team. And Maddie, I have been playing with the app and I've been getting lots of great feedback. And my son, Jacob, is full of ideas. He's a 19-year-old freshman at Boston University who told me that when he gets here on the 5th, he's coming on with spring break. He said, Dad, I need a couple of days. I have so many ideas. I should write them down for you.
Wow.
So it's been incredible. Maybe the funniest story is my 83-year-old stepfather, my mother, who is actually turning 75 today. Happy birthday, Mom. And how they are engaging with the app, which I think is hilarious. So I love it. I share Tanya's enthusiasm and amazing optimism for what this product can do.
That's amazing. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the biometrics thing. Tonya, what's your favorite part of the app?
I love the gifting. I love the ability to be able to send my partner a gift with a nice love note. Things doesn't always have to be tangible, but just knowing that I'm thinking of him through the app and he can send back his little thank yous with another love note or send me a gift. I love that. I also love the content that we're curating. Right now we have the Etiquette Love channel. We have a comic channel for couples. And to see how that's going to evolve, I'm really, really excited over that. It's like, again, this app is so diverse. I mean, from articles to blogs to meditation to videos to it just has something for everyone.
I need to get my husband on it. I've only tested it a little bit before the launch, so I need to get back into it.
It's funny you say that, Maria, and I'm glad you mentioned that because one question I've gotten is, well, what if my partner is not ready to do it, or I don't know if my partner's ready to do it? And that's fine. The app actually begins as a single user game or a single user play. So you don't have to add your partner right away. It's perfectly fine to open the app for yourself. You learn a lot about yourself and your relationship. My personal favorite feature is actually the tracker. So as you get into the app, through 7 carefully curated questions, we are able to give you a really reasonable baseline for the well-being of your relationship across 7 critical love skills. So you're going to know, as an example, where do you believe you stand on appreciation? Where does your partner believe you stand on appreciation? Even if you're simply using your own intuitive answers based on your experience, you're going to get some data points. Obviously, as your partner joins the app and adds their input, it's going to be even better. And this is the tracker tool will continue to track and give you feedback. So as you engage with the app, we're going to be able to give you indications that you're making progress, and you'll be able to measure that yourself. We're also going to be able to forecast for you in the coming edition, this is not in the current app. If you, for example, are scoring a relationship at a certain place and maybe you're not that satisfied with and you'd like to do better, we're going to give you a little place, a little meter where you could say, if I give you 5 minutes a day, how long will it take me to raise my score from 60% to 80%, right? So we'll give you some amazing features to help you determine what the regimen needs to be in order to get the outcomes that you want.
Yeah,
That's
Marie,
great.
it definitely takes the ambiguity out of the relationship. You really know or have a firm understanding of where you and your partner are and how you view each other in the relationship. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. Tonya, what have you learned about love since being involved in Our.Love?
What I learned about love is that it's so important to us, but we really don't spend a whole lot of time working on it. And that's the truth. You know, if you survey people, they would tell you that, yeah, I want to love, I want to know how to love, I want to be in a loving relationship. But if you ask them how much time they actually spend doing something that emulates that, they couldn't tell you a time. Our lives are so crazy right now with work and all the things that we're doing. Some of us going to schools, raising children, whatever. When you're in that relationship, sometimes you take it for granted. And so this app is a way to reinvigorate that, bring that passion and that fun back into the relationship, but not in a way where you have to sit down for an hour or 2 hours like a therapy. It's basically, you go in, hey, honey, I'm having a good day. Oh, I'm going to listen to this podcast while I'm driving. Okay, now from this podcast, you know what? I'm going to go do something nice for my significant other. I call it little breadcrumbs every day that brings you to that greater place. So what I've learned is that people want to love, they want to know how to love better, but they don't necessarily have the tools. And we're providing them with the tools, and they don't necessarily take the time. And what we're saying is time doesn't have to be blocked out 2 hours a week. It could be 5 minutes every day.
My husband and I are really into Duolingo right now. It's part of every morning. It's one of the first things I do to not lose my streak, right? And we're both into it. So the opportunity is to build this app into our day as well. It doesn't have to take a lot of time, but it definitely will help us prioritize our relationship. So I love that idea. Tal, how about you? What is something you've learned about love being involved?
I've learned so much about love. I mean, I came into this freshly out of a 20-year marriage and really feeling clueless about love. And to admit that at the age of, 47, 48, it's not easy. I'd read about love. I'd been in therapy on and off, and I have nothing against therapy. I think it's a really critical tool. But in our case, and I think in many cases, it's used more as you go and you want someone to agree with you. And of course, therapists are very sophisticated. They're not easily fooled, but the experience isn't always so great. And I think the biggest challenge I found was you go to therapy, you say what you have to say, but then you have to come out of there. It's 45 minutes or an hour, and then you have to live another week or 2 weeks with your partner before the next session. And some of the things that are said are really, really uncomfortable. So I ultimately felt coming into this that I didn't know very much about love. And what I've learned mainly about love is that there are a couple of really fundamental things that make everything better. I think that the 7 skills are really, really critical. I think ultimately what I've learned about love is that genuine love that has the opportunity to last, is love that recognizes that we are humans, and humanity means that your experience, my experience, is never going to be exactly the same. You have your own set of eyeballs and your own brain, your own ears, and you're experiencing life from your point of view. What I think a lot of people do wrong is they believe that what they're seeing is the only version of the truth. They believe that what they're experiencing is the only way things can be experienced. And so they're not generous. They don't come into a conversation where their partner expresses concerns or hurts from a place of wanting to be understanding, not from a place of curiosity. Curiosity is the very first love skill that we believe is so critical. When someone approaches you, when your partner approaches you and they have concerns or needs or problems, the right place to start is curiosity. Why? How are you experiencing this? And not defensiveness or worse, or gaslighting, or any of the many things people do, silent treatment, yelling, when they're approached with something that doesn't feel very comfortable. So when you begin by recognizing that your partner is a human being like you, with feelings and emotions and experiences, and that even if you didn't intend to land a certain way, if they feel that you have to deal with their reality, not try to install your own on top of theirs.
Right.
That is probably the most impactful thing that I've learned.
It's interesting because with therapy, usually relationships, marriages, or other partnerships, they usually go to therapy when things are broken. And I think that's part of the problem, is that we're not thinking about our relationship on a regular basis necessarily until it's probably beyond repair. And then, it's a big task with the therapist.
So I'm glad you raised that. I don't know that most Americans know that the number of people that go to therapy is very low. In the course of a given year, less than 10% of Americans go to therapy, and that's therapy of any kind, not just relational. It's including therapy that's digital and in person, so very low numbers. And among couples, 1 in 5 couples will go to therapy in their marriage, and they'll wait on average 6 years. So I think you're right. I mean, I think therapy is very impactful if you're coming into it with 2 people who are in the same place in terms of being able to absorb and you're ready to do work outside, right? So a lot of times when you go to therapy, at the end of it, you get homework, but there's really no way to measure it. One of the things we're really looking forward to is collaborating with therapists, because if a therapist wants to give homework in our app, the app can be measured. You can say you need to earn 100 love coins this week, and 100 love coins is about 5 activities.
That's a great idea.
So there are really neat things that therapists can do to get more, to essentially give the couple a better experience. But most importantly, I would say that, people who are looking at their relationship and are viewing it as okay, right? So they're not in deep, deep trouble. There is still love there, although maybe they don't feel it quite the second. There are moments of conflict that feel not okay and that you need to resolve, but they're not toxic. We're not talking about anyone is, doing anything completely inappropriate, although, things do happen in relationships, and if you're inclined to try to solve them, that's great. But we are really, really focused on that class of individual who is more or less okay, just not experiencing their best love. And, our objective and our mission is to bring people who are in relationships that are not broken, but not quite as great as they can be, to a place where they are phenomenal, not just okay, not even great, it's phenomenal. And it is achievable. That's one of the things that's so incredible. And I'm in one of those relationships now. If you know how to practice the skills, they become second nature. They become so easy to access. And the app reinforces that in so many different ways. And it's amazing how once you start engaging, you'll start seeing evidence outside of your relationship of people that are doing it well and of people that are doing it poorly. You'll be able to recognize it. You'll be able to see it and call it by its name. And a lot of times being able to do that is a really critical part of absorbing something into your own life and acting upon it.
Yeah. Tonya, did you want to add something?
Tal gave the statistics about couples going into therapy. And in the Black and Brown community, those statistics are even lower. So in our culture, in our race, we're not ones that, are knocking down on the therapist's door saying, hey, I need help in our relationship. So that was one of the key factors when I decided to go in this journey, was to bring a product to the public that my community could actually benefit from and could help a lot of the relationships in our community.
I love that.
I'm glad Tonya mentioned that, because one more variable that was important to both of us, and we aligned on it right out of the gate, was to make this very affordable. So there's another app in the marketplace, really more of a therapy app, and their app annual cost is $200. If you come and download the app right now, it's virtually entirely free. And the subscriptions that we intend to sell are 99 cents, $1.99, $2.99, up to $4. And we intend to give people the opportunity to set their price. We do not want anyone who is interested in improving their relationship to feel like they can't afford it. This should cost what a Starbucks cup of coffee will cost you once a month or less. And the hope is, if you come in, you engage with us 5 minutes a day, 3 minutes a day, 10 minutes some days, the incremental value of that, first, you'll be able to see it. It's trackable, so you and your partner can literally see what's being done in the app by each other. It's incredibly reinforcing. We've heard a lot from men that really appreciated the tracker, the opportunity to see where they stood, and the opportunity to show their partner they're working, right? A lot of women in our focus groups were talking about effort and wanting to see their partner make an effort, and how much that unlocks their willingness to be more loving and more forgiving and more joyful. And of course, I'm generalizing, but that generally is what we found. And effort is viewable in the app. I mean, because as you engage in anything in the app, it identifies what you did and where you earn love coins. And we are hearing really positive things about that.
Great. Tonya, because this podcast is called Companies That Care, what advice do you have to other people to make companies that care?
I always tell people in business, think of something that's going to impact someone else, whether it's a specific group of people. For us, we had a bolder mission. We wanted to impact the world over. But when you think of what you want to do, think about the impact it's going to have on others. 2, you got to be dogmatic about it, because you'll get a lot of no's. And I always think that no's is not a no. It's not an end of discussion. It's a not yet. I think of it as not right now, as opposed to no, it's time to quit. And so you got to keep pushing. One thing I love about Tal, just he doesn't care. He just keeps pushing and he keeps thriving. I really love that about him. I'm a tough cookie, but he definitely has made me tougher, as you can see, Marie, right? But you have to surround yourself with positive people and people who are going to uplift you when you're down. So he teaches me to be tough. And I hope for him, I'm that person that kind of lifts him up and say, look, we can do this. We can keep going. And I add that burst of energy to him. So it's surrounding yourself with positive people, being dogmatic, and just keep going and understanding, no, it's just a not yet, not right now, but it's coming.
I love that.
Tonya is like a sister to me. We have an incredibly loving and candid relationship, and we've had moments. Look, journeys are tough, and you have moments where one person needs to lift the other up, and we've lifted each other up, which I love. I know I can count on her, and I know I can trust her, and that's really vital. And I think, one of the beautiful things about the team we have assembled around us is they are, for the most part, people that we know, that we've worked with in the past, that we have a lot of confidence in. I mean, the senior team, Swati Gandhi, our COO, Adrian Martinez, our chief of staff, John Passman, our CMO, Kito Musa, our Dr. McCullough, Dr. Safir, our board. These are people that are just best of the best. General Leslie Smith, who just retired as Inspector General of the U.S. Army, is both an investor and a member of the board. I mean, we are surrounded by incredible people, and that just feels so, so great.
That is so cool. Yeah, that's why I wanted to get involved. It's the people that you gathered around you. It's very impressive. Anything else, final words you'd like to say to our listeners?
I would say that almost no matter where you are in your life, there's probably more love that you can harvest out of your life, right? So love is one of these beautiful, beautiful sources of energy. Tonya and I have been saying a lot over the last year. Love is a resource that the more you have, the more I have. It's not a resource that is finite, where you have some and therefore your neighbor must have less. The fact is, actually, the more you have, the more your children will have, the more your neighbors and your coworkers and your family and the community at large will have. So love is very worthwhile. It is maybe the last best hope we've got to come together again. And, what is love? Ultimately, it's not just about romance. It's about understanding. It's about accepting each other's humanity, understanding each other's fears, accepting vulnerability, being appreciative, taking accountability. All these really, really critical skills, which are actually part of the love skills that we teach in the app, are what makes for good citizens and good communities. And my hope is that your listeners go ahead, download the app, tell 5 or 10 friends. I know it sounds like a lot, but you know what? We are trying to build a very large community of people that are committed to love. And I think if we do this on scale, we will change the world.
I love it. Tonya, have any final words?
I just was going to echo Tal. Download our app, visit our website, our.love, and start your love journey with us.
Thank you so much for your time. This has been a great conversation. I'm so glad to have both of you here together. It's wonderful to see your rapport. And you're teasing, you're sibling teasing.
we are like brothers and sisters, it's funny because we fight and we love the same way, so it's good. And that's what love is. That is really what love is.
Yeah, you're modeling it for
and you know what?
Users.
We're eating our own dog food because, as increasingly I'm noticing if there are moments of disagreement, I'm really leaning into curiosity. I'm much more appreciative.
Good.
I'm willing to take accountability. Tonya would tell you, I mucked something up in our first week, and I stood up and I took responsibility for it in a way that I was very proud of. And it's really out of what we're teaching. So it's incredible. I feel like a better human being, and I can't wait for more people to access this stuff.
That's a really good point, because, one of my specialties is leadership communication. And so much of what the app is all about could be applied to being a better leader as well.
That's true. That's very true. And the other thing I will add is understanding forgiveness as well. Because in relationships, there will be things that will cause discord, but you can't hold on. You can't, beat another person over the head with it. You have to be willing to say, okay, this was a learning curve. The person has admitted that they didn't understand, and you got to let it go. And I think that those are all healthy parts of being in any relationship, whether it's at work, whether it's personal, whether it's with your children. All of the things that we're learning within this app are healthy across all spectrums of relationships.
Definitely. Thank you so much for your time, both of you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. All right.
Okay.
Take care.
I'm so impressed with what Tal and Tonya have put together, a sensational and exceptionally diverse team to improve as many lives as possible. through better love. I love Our.Love's philosophy that loving more and better is a basic human right and human aspiration. You can download Our.Love for iOS or Android. Let me know what you think about this episode by emailing me at marie@fertlegroundcommunications.com. Our music is by jazz pianist Jonathan Swanson. This podcast is brought to you by Fertile Ground Communications.